And in a hybrid publishing house, they can a hybrid publishing house can have a shot at a New York Times list, less so than a traditional publishing house, but there are some hybrid houses that do have a pretty good track record for that. So if New York Times is what you're gunning for, you can only choose from hybrid or traditional. The other options will not get you there. So you can cross them off your list, right? So hybrid does have a chance for New York Times. They do have a chance for Wall Street Journal, USA Today. So they have a slightly different model. A hybrid house will ask you to pay at least some money upfront versus a traditional publishing house where they're funding it because they expect to make it all back. So a hybrid, you will be investing. Most hybrid publishing houses are going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $50,000 to $250,000 for your upfront investment for them to take on your book. Now, what's the difference? Because that's a really big range. If they are not guaranteeing a bestseller list, then it could be more in that $50,000 range. If they are guaranteeing Wall Street Journal, USA Today, then it's going to be much more expensive because of the cost of those campaigns. There are metrics that it's very expensive to do a Wall Street Journal or USA Today bestseller campaign. Now, no matter what somebody tells you, you cannot guarantee New York Times list. Traditional cannot guarantee, a hybrid cannot guarantee. And if you are in talks with a hybrid publishing house and they are guaranteeing you New York Times list, you should run. It's not possible. The New York Times, like USA Today, Wall Street Journal, Amazon, there are formulas, there are algorithms, there are minimum benchmarks that we all know you must hit in order to get on the list. New York Times does not have those benchmarks, and they always change their criteria. It is extremely fluid. So, and they do that intentionally so that you can't game the system. You can't learn the formula, you can't learn the basic requirements and then, meet them just to kind of buy your way onto the list. New York Times does not do that. So if you're in talks with a hybrid house and they are guaranteeing New York Times, that is a sign of a scam, and you should absolutely run because it's not possible to guarantee that. So hybrid, you will be paying some upfront, and then they may also take either a percentage of your royalties, or they may crowdsource some of the payment. They're a little more flexible in how they structure it, and each hybrid house is going to structure it slightly differently. So when you're interviewing a hybrid house, it's really important to ask about their payment structure, their funding model. The funding model is important to know because the funding not only covers and impacts publication costs, it impacts and funds marketing campaigns, promotional campaigns, media campaigns. Those are expensive campaigns to run. So you want to know, all right, if I'm paying this money and this money is going to just the publishing costs, then what is funding, or what is your plan for funding the promotional materials, the media campaigns, the press tour, the book signings, right? The promotion plan past just the launch window, right? So you want to ask a lot of questions. A hybrid house, some of them will be very strict on intellectual property, where they insist on copywriting the book. They insist on housing your manuscript in their publishing back end. They may be really strict on that because they have printing contracts where they are insisting that instead of your book being print on demand, that your book is printed in bulk for easier distribution to their distribution partners, say, for example, airports or local bookstores. So it's really important to be asking those questions because you need to know where the money is going to come from, and you need to know what their plan is. If you're just paying them to publish the book, but they don't have any plan for marketing or or media or, press or like a book signing or a press tour, or they don't have any longer term plans, then you need to know that ahead of time, because that's going to then fall on you. And you're going to need to make sure that you're budgeting for that. Some hybrid houses that specialize just in getting your book out, but not doing all of those extra things, the ones that might be in that $50,000 range, they may be more flexible if you want to insist on owning your intellectual property, meaning that you're the one copywriting it. They may be more flexible to you housing your manuscript in your print on demand account versus in their publishing account. So one of the benefits to a hybrid house is a little bit more flexibility and negotiating power. So plus side of hybrid house, they do have a chance at getting you New York Times. They do have a chance at getting you Wall Street Journal or USA Today. You do have a little bit more negotiating power. You do not need a literary agent. You can have one. Absolutely, you can have one, but it's not required. So you just have a little bit more direct communication with them. You have a little bit more control. So that is a good option for a lot of people, especially if you are a bit more established.